I am joined with Nat and Aly from Paranormal Podcast Let's Get Haunted to talk everything from ghosts to conspiracies to what's next for the podcasters.
My name is Aly Terry, and this is
Nat Strawn.
And together we are Let's Get Haunted.
Why did you start the podcast? Anything in particular? Did you like podcasts? Did you just find yourself always in haunted situations?
Natalia had been asking me to do something with her, and we were kind of figuring, like, we wanted to do something together, and we kind of just said, hey, maybe we should do something spooky because we're both spooky bitches.
Yeah. And so the goal, I feel like, has always been to start the podcast and then like also have vlog, and then maybe at some point we get like a show, and then President United States of America, and then fund our own space travel, like,
get a planet named after us.
Exactly.
And I know you guys are always talking about haunted things, and it can have many different meanings. So what is the definition of haunted to you two?
I think haunted is kind of like, okay, so if you think of, we're like all living in this simulation, right? Like anytime something happens that's like outside of the simulation is haunted. Like when you make a new storyline.
And it actually started because we had this joke when we were living together where we would hashtag pictures Let's Get Haunted, and it was whenever we were going out. So it was like Let's Get Haunted kind of evolved from there, but I think originally it just meant let's do something
like let's
crazy.
Get weird.
Yeah, let's get weird.
Essentially, you would say like let's get fucked up, right? Like what's the most fucked up you could get yourself is like haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the most haunted situation that you've been in?
I would say there's negative hauntings and positive hauntings, and then there's just like crazy
the
shit
Area
that
51,
happens. Yeah.
I feel like is a really good example. We like did this, we went to Area 51 for the meme, like that was like in 2019, you're supposed to storm Area 51. We literally went as a joke. We were very underprepared, but then somehow, like, despite not knowing where we were going, not having any service, just it basically being a clusterfuck the whole time, we were able to like basically like find random people to give us rides places. We essentially hitchhiked our way to Area 51 with someone we didn't even know, and they ended up being like really nice, and we like didn't die. And then when we were at the actual Area 51.
And what's been your favorite moment of the podcast, whether that's something it's allowed you to do or maybe like a bit from an episode?
I would say for me it was the Happy Valley Dream Survey. Was so fun and scary and funny, and I don't know, that one sticks out to me, and so does the Randonautica episode, just because I got to interview Dean Radin, who is an ex-CIA scientist, and he talked about his time working with the CIA on telekinesis and clairvoyance. And for me that was very, very cool to talk to someone who has all of these accolades, very esteemed scientist, and I was like, oh my gosh, and he's willing to talk to us. Yeah.
This show, we're doing it because we're both interested in it. So when Alyssa tells me like a story, and then I'm like, well, what happened? And she's like, well, I messaged someone on Facebook. Or she's like, I found this girl's TikTok and then asked her a question about it. I'm like, well, what'd they say? So I feel like those are my favorite moments, is when Alyssa like is willing to get murdered for our podcast we do for free.
Yeah.
Are you ever scared that you're going to message the wrong person one day?
I mean, I do try to be as safe as possible about it. My Facebook, for example, does not have my real name. I use a voice over IP if I am calling people, or when I do interviews. You know what? I will say this. I think that I'm much more afraid of people we know in real life, just based on experience, than I am of strangers on the internet. And that's something that Let's Get Haunted has taught me, is that, I'm an adult. I can make the decision on how safe I feel to reach out to a witness I'm talking about. And what seems to be out of my control is, briefly, we can just sort of mention the stalker situation that Natalia and I had last year. That was someone we knew in real life. It wasn't someone that we met through the podcast. Everyone we've ever met through the podcast, like Natalia said, has been really nice and open-minded and sweet and not creepy. Yeah. So I think that sort of solidified for me that if I'm going to meet someone negatively haunted, it's going to be someone we know in real life.
Yeah, there's no real control over it.
Yeah, and there's no, exactly. Yeah. You can't control what those people are going to do.